Hello and welcome to day 3 of the World Under-24 Ultimate Championships. And we're going to start today's proceedings with an exciting Asian matchup between the Japanese mixed team and the Malaysian mixed team. My name's Cole Fink, and joining me in the commentary box on this beautiful sunny Perth morning is Katie Locke. Welcome, Katie.
Hello, Cole, and welcome to another exciting day of Ultimate. Japan so far are undefeated in the mixed division. Malaysia had their first game so far in New Zealand, which we streamed yesterday, and it was very tight, but they unfortunately went down 14-11. This is a pretty green team, so they're just extremely excited to be at their first World Championships.
Yeah, it's so exciting to see the countries growing in stature, and Southeast Asia right now is just exploding in Ultimate. I was lucky enough to attend the recent Asia Oceanics Club Championships, and Malaysia, Taipei, Taiwan, so many countries represented. So there's the first pull-up from the Japanese, and we're going to start the game with a brick.
Yes, and we've got the Malaysian handler going to pick up the disc, get it from the sideline. That is Yao with the first pick. Now, the Malaysian team have a Canadian coach this year, and 2 of his daughters are on the team, the Craig sisters. So they'll be good ones to watch out for.
So, Yao, picking up the disc, actually played on my club team last year, Chile, in Melbourne, Australia. He's a very composed handler, makes good decisions and excellent disc skills. Very good short ball player.
Malaysia looking to get it early, and there's a turnover. Fortunately, Pigeon Chun can't pull it in.
Just slightly high with the throw there, and the Malaysian cutter unable to get up high enough. So the Japanese now with an opportunity to strike early. That player needed a shovel to get that one out, and we've got a crossfield blading flick to the end zone, and unable to scoop that one out of the dirt. That was an excellent bid, but the throw just needed to sit a little more.
It just went straight down to the grass, unfortunately. A little hard there for the Japanese player to grab. Now we've got Malaysia setting up in a vertical side stack here, it seems, with Yao pick up the disc, looking for an ISO player, it seems. The ISO cut comes off. Great undercut there from Jeng. Jeng looking to move up the field.
That's a great deep strike.
Oh, and 10 throws that down. Oh, unfortunately, just a little too far out the field there.
Indeed, it was actually, the cut deep was perfectly timed. And in fact, 2 Malaysian players both saw the opportunity and struck deep. If that throw had been in bounds, I think that was a certain goal, Katie. And unfortunately, they just, the thrower wasn't able to take account for the wind. And I don't think that disc even came in bounds.
No, unfortunately not. And as we see, the players are pointing to the point, the sideline where the disc went out of bounds, which means that the Japanese team get a huge advantage here, getting to pull it in way closer to the end zone, and it goes up! 1-on-1 bid, and there's a foul call.
So Haraguchi, the spirit captain of the Japanese team, went up for that disc, and indicating that there was a little bit of contact on the arm. Maybe we'll see if we can hear from the game advisor, perhaps. Doesn't look like we've got that audio, but yeah, pretty clear. I think that Haraguchi was, feels like his arm was knocked when the Malaysian defender came up. Obviously the Malaysian defender. No contact. There we go, we've got an uncontested foul call. Because that's not caught, they'll take the disc from the front of the end zone. So that's in contrast to if the disc had been caught and then stripped, that would be a goal. But because the pass was never fully completed, the offensive team takes the disc from the end zone line, and we're back in play. So Haraguchi with a little flip and unable to be brought down.
Just a little miscommunication there between the cutter and the thrower.
Indeed. He's put it a little bit behind her.
Yao centers to Craig, and there's been a pick called.
Tell us about these the Craigs on the Malaysian team. That doesn't sound like a traditionally Malaysian name, Katie.
No. So as I was mentioning earlier, their coach is their father, and they immigrated to Malaysia, and they've been able to bring some North American ultimate experience into the Malaysian ultimate scene. And Craig puts a nice big throw up. Oh, Malaysia pulls that one down fantastically with Jeng on the disc, and he puts it up again! Oh!
Yeah, foul
Immediate
call
foul
there.
called, yeah.
There's a bit of a tangle of legs as they were running in. Certainly nothing malicious in it, but the Malaysian feels like a Japanese foot was the cause of him falling down. So one thing that's important to know about fouls, of course, is they don't have to be malicious. It's possible to cause a foul completely accidentally, and so pretty difficult for us to tell how that contact was initiated.
That's why I lost balance.
ここで取ろうとしたときにカンタが後ろから当たったからバランスを崩
That's
し
a
た。
side here.
当たったのは当たった。
当たりますけど、結構取る前からバンバン当たってて、
We've got Kana
でも取
Ejina,
っても
the Japanese player,
No, it
translating.
wasn't on the catch. It was when I'm running. Then I feel contact here. Then I lost balance. So I tripped here. 20
So
seconds.
you felt the foul
Yeah.
was during the
Yeah.
running? だから走ってる最中にファウルだった。それはコンテスト、アンコンテスト。
Uncontested. Thank you. Uncontested.
Yeah, again, really well resolved call. And again, we're going to have the disc on the end zone line, Katie. Exactly the same
Repeat
situation.
of the same situation. Hopefully this time the Malaysian team can convert. Recentering the disc, that's a big floaty one.
Oh, phenomenal D. And no call, so we're back to the races with the Japanese in control of the disc. The wind coming basically directly into our camera here, so it's a very cross-field wind, which is why that throw floated up. As soon as you show the bottom of the disc to the wind, it's going to pick it up and send it high. So Yamauchi now. Japanese traditionally a very well structured outfit. They train 8 hours a day, both days of the weekend. That is a gloriously thrown deep shot, and unfortunately just tipped out of the fingers there in the end zone.
That wind, it just pushes that disc. Really hard for it to grab sometimes, and looks like he just tripped, just barely grasping it.
Indeed, those trailing head catches are really difficult to bring in. And as you say, Katie, the wind really playing havoc with the disc at the moment. It's changing elevation really quickly. It's very difficult to get a read on where that disc is going to be. And that looked like a great throw out of the hands, but unfortunately unable to make the catch in the end zone. So yet again, Malaysia with a chance to move downfield.
It looks like they've changed to a Horo stack now from their previous side stack. Probably just trying to find some space there. Maybe utilise on this O. Oh, and
Yeah,
there's
that
been
was
a down
definitely
call.
down. And the Japanese now with an opportunity.
For a quick convert.
And it's a score.
The Japanese reel in that first quite long point. Get the first one in the bank.
Absolutely. So I think what we can really tell here is that this is going to be a difficult game. That was Chihiri Mino with the score. And the Malaysians, I thought, acquitted themselves quite well there in this difficult conditions. As we've said, Southeast Asian Ultimate is growing rapidly at the moment, and it's incredible to see the development in such a short period of time from countries with very little Ultimate experience. As you mentioned, Katie, this is the very first time that Malaysia has sent a representative team to World Championships at any level.
Yeah, that's
So-
correct. There is only one player on their roster who's ever played at a Worlds level before. That's the captain, Ui, who has previously represented Singapore at World Ultimate Guts Championships in London in 2016. Being, having lived in both Canada and Malaysia, she has eligibility to represent both countries.
Yeah, right. So, the wind now pretty heavy, and you can see at the back of your screen we've got, there's going to be flags waving. It's primarily right to left and coming into the camera. So the Japanese are going to be pulling this largely downwind, and that's going to give them an opportunity to trap the Malaysians, you would think, on this near sideline.
Definitely, and if they play anything like what I've previously seen Japanese teams play like, they'll put on a really snazzy zone, you know, make the players risk the over the top.
So the Malaysians using their women back in the handler set. And they've done well to get it to the far side of the field. We call that the high side because they've got the wind to their favour there, and they're
Great take
moving
there.
well.
Oh, and a big crossfield flick, but that's just pushed right down. Fortunately, very difficult for him to reel that one in.
That was almost a carbon copy of the Japanese throw from the previous point, and you can see the wind really forcing that down. Great attempt at a D there.
Lots of sideline noise happening from both teams.
Matsuki takes that dump pass. He'll be anchoring the offense here.
Oh, and it goes up!
Haruma with a big shot deep.
Oh,
And
just
again,
too far.
very difficult to send a long shot up in this difficult wind and affect completions.
The Fremantle doctor is alive and well in Perth today, even this early. So Malaysian team get another crack at offense. Back into that side vert stack now. Oh, and he sends it! Another deep shot! The one-on-one contest. Oh, that was a great grab! Great grab there from Lim.
Can he now maintain patience? That is a beautiful
Oh
throw!
my God, that was beautiful! That was a fantastic crossfield backhand there. The Malaysian team get round that receiver. They are so excited, so happy to convert.
That deep shot was perfectly weighted, used the wind to advantage, a phenomenal grab. And then often what happens after a deep shot like that, the blood pressure's a bit high, the excitement's a bit high, and you make a rash decision, but that
Yep.
was actually a beautifully weighted crossfield backhand.
No, fantastic throw there from Ian Lim. The whole Malaysian team on the line, they're listening to the call. We've been told that this is something that they try to do every single point, get their whole team on board, even though they've got a huge roster, so that everybody on the sideline knows the game plan.
So the Japanese now will be coming out on offense. Japan typically really well known for highly skilled, highly technical play. They are the masters of opposition analysis and developing unconventional game plans by traditional Frisbee standards in order to defeat teams that have some other advantage over them, often height if we're talking about North Americans or Australians or Europeans.
Yeah.
So the Japanese will often play offenses that look really clogged. They'll often have a lot of people very close to the disc, and they'll look to move the disc through very tight spaces.
Yeah,
So let's see what they're capable of here.
they're moving it nicely down. They're on the high side now, centering it.
Ohashi. Oh, great bid. Fantastic bid from number 5, Yahata, the Spirit captain, but she's
And
unable to catch
Senkruma
it.
sends it! What a huck, but the wind just pushed that. I think that may have been just a really excited decision.
Both teams celebrating because he's managed to hit one of the service vehicles. That's how far from the field that one landed. So you were quite right, Katie. He sent that and it never came back.
I think he just got a little bit eager, that trying to convert very quickly, and unfortunately didn't take into consideration the wind pushing it, and the fact he wasn't on the high side as well. I think a huck there was probably not the safest option. Probably would have wanted the centre at first, but nevertheless, gave it a crack. That's what matters.
So Meguchi will bring the disc in from the sideline, and as predicted, the Japanese with and he's called a foul on the mark, not contested by the Malaysian player. We're going to come back in at stall 0. So Noguchi again, looking at a very clogged short field. Wonderful inside flick. Just outside the end zone now. Noguchi looking for an option. And that is a goal to his Spirit captain, Hikari Sato.
You can see he just pumped the air. He was so excited about that throw coming off. It was a beautiful throw there for the score.
Japanese doing a wonderful job here of using both their male and female players. One of the things that's characteristic, I think, of the Japanese female players is that they have ludicrously high skills. They have 3 very dominant club teams based in Tokyo and Nagano, I think it is. Huck, Mud, and Uno. And those 3 teams are all capable of coming to events like the World Ultimate Club Championships and acquitting themselves very, very well.
Speaking of which, do you know which Japanese teams we're going to see at WUC this year in Ohio?
I believe we're going to see all 3 of Huck, Uno, and Mud. Initially, there was a big upset when Mud was bumped out, and I'm not certain, but I think I want to say it might have been Swampy Barg that took the 3rd spot. And so that was quite a surprise because Huck, Uno and Mud really have had their names on being the top 3 teams in Japan for many, many years. As it turned out, though, a late spot opened up when another team from another country was unable to take up their invitation. And so all 3 of the big Japanese teams now making their way to WAC this year.
That's exciting. That pool, yep, it's going out. It's pushing out to the windy side. Makes it very difficult to pull in these crossfield winds.
Absolutely. That was an inside-out backhand, and it must have travelled 50 metres sideways once it got shown to the wind.
Malaysia get another chance on O.
Oh, quick bobble, but he's managed to bring it back in. Malaysia continuing to start with that side stack.
Beautiful throw, but nobody there. Possession goes straight to the Japanese. Oh, and he sends it!
Tarano with a deep shot, looking for Sato in the end zone, but again, that wind, when you're upwind, the disc wants to get high. When you're downwind, it wants to travel. And that throw simply had too much curry, and it never came back. So Sato did everything in her power to bring that one in. No surprises that it was a very difficult to catch.
Channeled the Aussie tradition of way too much weak fix this morning, I think, on that throw. Malaysia moving the disc, fakes the long throw, ding there for the dump. Centres it. That's Ui there. Oh, crossfield forehand.
And batted away. Risa will credit with the D there. The wind certainly playing a part also. And a crossfield flick. The wind's underneath it. And Sato again. So close and yet so far.
The Japanese player just understood how to put that throw into the wind. It almost looked like it was going to the sideline at first, but the wind just curved it round. That's just testament to the Japanese throwing experience, I believe.
Absolutely, and you'll often find good ultimate players actually prefer to play in a wind. It opens up angles and options that less experienced players simply can't access. I think that was a good example of
Chong
a
picking
throw.
up. They're on the high side now, playing in a horror. Centres to Ui.
Looks like we've got a call. Just a bit of contact downfield in the stack, I think. Looks like Hirano has had an accidental incident downfield. They've sorted that out, and Ui back in.
Ui looking for the dump. Oh.
Oh, phenomenal.
Oh, wait.
Deep strike.
There's been a call, but he sends it deep as well.
Oh, phenomenal catch.
But
unfortunately, yep, we've got a call. Great to see the hand signals being mirrored by both sidelines to make sure the players on the field know that a call has been made. I think the miscommunication came when there was a foul on Ui as she threw the disc, and it looked like the disc was going to be bobbled and dropped, but her player actually caught the disc.
Yeah,
and so she withdrew the call, I think.
Yeah, so Chong.
You think that it's a pick?
Okay, so I go back there. Or
Yes. だからピックだから you won't contest.
uncontested.
Would it have changed the outcome of this? That means
it would have uncontested because you hit her, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
so the this stays with me.
Uncontested.
Yes, you stay.
Is there a stall
I think
count?
just now the stall was around 7, so maximum 6.
Saying stalling 6? Okay.
Fantastic. So it looks like the dump defender there for the Japanese was picked as he tried to follow his player. And so rightfully we've brought the disc back and we're coming in on stall 6.
Dumps to Chong as planned. Sends a low disc. Fortunately just too low for the Malaysian player to pull in. Lam
So
getting on the
Takahashi
ground.
now picks up. The Japanese looking to strike.
That
And
wind's just making it so difficult to catch.
it really is. Risa unable to clamp the fingers around that disc.
On Chong sends it again.
The
Turn
Malaysians,
around.
no, oh, phenomenal catch!
Great catch there by Loy. He ponders his options. Dumps to Ui. Safe hands with Ui, and she sends it. And a goal for Malaysia.
It's got to be said, Uwe has a full bag of tricks. She looks so composed with disc in hand. And given the wind that we've seen affecting throws throughout this game so far, for her to blade that flick in against the wind and still have it sit up for her receiver, that was a phenomenal piece of play.
Yeah, we had Lamb had a lot of time to get that disc, but he was really conscious on it.
We're just seeing that phenomenal catch on replay. And wisely looks off those downfield options, which looked a bit clogged. He takes a dump and then back to Uwe. And she is just one of the greatest throws I've seen in the wind so far in the mixed division. She looks like she can be a real anchor for this Malaysian offense.
Definitely, and that's exactly what we saw yesterday as well, is that she is one of the most experienced players on this team, and it's definitely been demonstrated right now.
So the wind predominantly across field coming into your camera, into the screen. So not a lot of advantage one way or the other on the field at the moment, I wouldn't say.
No, there's not a strong upwind, downwind that can really determine the end zone of use.
So nice pull from the Malaysians. That's going to land inbounds. And the Japanese moving it down this near sideline.
And Malaysia's put on a zone here.
It's a very crowded zone look too. There's 4 people in the cup, but the Japanese have managed to set it over the top. Sakai.
Oh.
She's lost control of that one in the wind, and the Malaysians now with an opportunity to register a break.
Sivakumar with the D there. Tan takes his time, considers his option, dumps to Crag. Malaysia looking to try centre it, get it off that hard sideline. Oh, and it just fumbles in the hands of Zainal Abidan there.
Yeah, even short passes now, very difficult. In fact, sometimes short ones in a wind this strong can be even more difficult because they're struggling to get the rotation on the disc. Japanese look like indicating a double team briefly there. Wow, that was a tight space to put a throw through. So can the Japanese maintain their composure through this very tight traffic? This is a phenomenal piece. Oh, strike. I thought that was going to land in the end zone, but we're just outside. And I think he's milked it in and made some unfortunate contact with the Malaysian defender there, who's just grimacing a little. Both teams look to be indicating a goal. Yep, we've indicated a goal. That was a masterclass in zone offense. The Japanese aren't afraid to work through very tight coverage through that zone. And I don't think the disc got more than about 3 meters away from the sideline for that entire move up the field.
No, the Malaysian players really wanted to keep them trapped on that sideline, and they successfully did that, but the Japanese unafraid to just keep cramming up the sideline, keep working it through the really tight, small spaces, knowing that they did not want to risk throwing into the wind over the zone.
So we remain at 2 goals apiece.
No,
Is that right? Or are we up to 3-2?
Japan is up, I believe. Just waiting for a score update.
So we just see the replay there. Yeah, so the Japanese have come up 3-2 after that leap into the end zone. So the Japanese up 1 break here. So the Malaysians will be hoping to try to get that break back before half-time, because of course, if you start the game on defense and take half, it's almost like you get an opportunity for a double break when you come back out on offense after half-time. So the Malaysians would be hoping to redress that break now before we get to half-time if they can.
Japan up the pool. Looks like it's going to be a bit of a roller. Smart decision in the wind. Malaysia playing a horror here. Japanese putting on a zone. Lots of sideline chatter happening. That Japanese zone is pushing the players back into the end zone. It's very, very crowded there. Malaysians
Yeah.
not wanting to risk an overhead throw.
I'd like to see a reduction in the double teaming.
Yep.
Malaysians have just called it. So when one player's holding the disc, only one defender is allowed to be within 3 meters. Otherwise, it is a double team. But the Japanese have managed to take control, and that is a goal for their captain, Nakano.
4-2 to Japan. And the Malaysian team really struggled to work through that zone there, it seemed.
Absolutely, it can be really difficult. You're trying to focus on your cutters and look for an option to throw to. It can be difficult to keep a piece of your mind thinking about what the defenders are doing, whether you've got a marking infraction or a double team. And as I say, looked to me like in that point the Japanese perhaps encroaching a little.
Yeah, and we did see one of the Malaysian handlers indicate they needed to back off, give them some space.
Absolutely.
But
So
the unfortunate thing though is if you have one of your players crashing through, they could crowd into.
absolutely. Sometimes in a zone, the best thing to do when you're on offense is to give your handler some space, make sure that they've got the full 3 meters from all the other defenders, and don't crowd that short space too much. So the Japanese now up 2 breaks, 4 goals to 2. And let's see what the Malaysians can do on offense.
Now, if Japan's learnt from that point, they will be putting another zone on, I think. It worked very effectively.
So the pull goes up from Muraoka. And looks like it is going to sail out of bounds.
And into the precious cricket pitch on the side.
And Yao is going to take the disc from the brick mark.
It looks like Japan have actually set up a match defense, surprisingly. So Malaysia in that vertical stack. We've got a deep option, under option. That's a great under option, but the disc just sails and the Japanese player picks it up.
That's the D from Risa, number 12. She's had quite an impact on this game.
Right on the doorstep
Haruma now, knocking on the door. Oh. And Haruma dumps it off and then sneaks back into the end zone to receive. And the Japanese now stamping their authority on this game. They certainly entered this contest as the favourites. Japan, a long-established power in World Ultimate. And Malaysia, as we said, their very first representative team at World Championship level here today on the pitch. And they're acquitting themselves well, but they're going to need to find another gear if they're going to take it to the Japanese in this matchup. The Malaysians had a great contest against New Zealand yesterday, and they came very close to sneaking away with a victory there.
Yeah, they definitely scared the New Zealanders. New Zealand took the game early. It looked like they had it in control, but Malaysia snuck back and showed that they had the power in them to really scare. And they got within 1 point of the New Zealand team as well.
That might have given you a little bit of a fright, Katie, being being a New Zealander yourself.
Only a little. That being said, I can't really claim the Kiwi team when I never played Ultimate New Zealand.
So the Japanese are now up 5 goals to 2.
And the pull comes up. Let's see if this one lands in bounds. Oh, yep. Looks like it's going to be a rollie. Malaysia's stopping it early. Going into a horizontal stack, and that lifts up. Oh,
Great grab.
Great grab there on the high side. Looking to centre the disc. Chong to Loy to Chong. Bit of give-go between those two. Chong centres it again. Great take there.
So the Japanese playing a pretty traditional zone here. Have got this called the cup. 3 players crowding the disc. And just a slight miscue there. The throw put slightly behind the receiver. So the Japanese now with disc in hand. Amano moving the disc across to Muraoka. Muraoka looking end zone. Oh, phenomenal catch!
A great layout bid there from Japan.
I didn't get a chance to catch who that was, but that was a fantastic catch by one of the women on the Japanese team. She looks happy.
Catch by 55 on Japan.
That's Oe, number 55, who's brought that one down, and that was a fantastic layout bid. I've had the pleasure of getting to know a number of female Japanese players over the years, thanks to my girlfriend, Mish Phillips, is great friends with a number of Japanese players. She played for Huck in Japan for one of their national seasons, and since then, our house has become something of a staple for the Japanese. And one thing that is characteristic of women in Japan is that they lay out for everything. And I remember the very first time Moe Samashima went for a training run out at the park near our house, and she was bidding on every single disc that I missed through, even though we were just having a casual throw in the park.
Did not give up.
No, Mish actually asked Moe, how do you train the Japanese players to lay out? She said, we don't train, Mish, we just lay out.
All right, we probably need to take that info back to the Aussies. A number of girls in my club say, oh, I want to learn how to lay out.
Yep, apparently it's not something you learn, you just do it.
Just do. That pool going almost to the other field.
Indeed, that one is well out of bounds. So no surprise to see the Malaysians electing to take it from the brick mark. And they're setting up in a familiar vertical stack.
Young walking the disc up. Craig is his dump. And he sends it! It's early cutter Jeng. Looks a little high.
Oh, fantastic read. You could see the wind getting under that disc.
Just too high for Jeng to get.
Sakai. Haruma now. Through Teresa.
Oh, and there's a hand block
that's
on
a hand
that.
block. Great D.
Fantastic hand block. That was Laura O with the hand block on that. Great read.
The Malaysians capitalising quickly. When there's a turnover, you've often got a second or two where the defence is not yet set up, and they've used that to great effect, moving the disc quickly downfield. They're now just about 10 metres from their end zone.
Young with the disc, and he turns a hammer! Nobody was expecting that.
Not his receiver either, I don't think,
Definitely
unfortunately.
not. Looked like he was going to do the backhand huck there, but decided to go for the hammer.
One of the things we'll often see at under 24's level is the enthusiasm of youth. On defence, that can often be a great advantage, and on offence, sometimes it can be to your detriment. And on that occasion, with this wind,
Yep.
I think
Hammer
possibly
is
a hammer not the ideal option in that
No.
particular case. As soon as he released the disc, the wind got a good hold of the top of it, and not long before they'd lost control of it, got some contact in the stack. That was Risa who ended up on the ground. Just a little bit congested in the center of the field. So Mino through to Enomoto. Out wide to Sakai. Sakai to Nakano, the captain. It's a
Great
nice bid
defense
from the
there.
Malaysian player, wasn't it,
Yes.
Katie?
Both of us going to comment on it at the same time. Well, he wants to send it. Is he gonna? No, he centers.
Mino back to Enomoto. The Japanese looking really composed here. Not much the Malaysians can do to trouble them. Their disc skills giving them the opportunity to move this around at will. Mino again. Haruma milks that one expertly, and she lands with a deft double tap in the end zone. And that gives Japan the opportunity to take half, 8 goals to 2.
Oh, it's 7-2, I believe.
I think you're right, Katie, beg your pardon.
Yep.
Japan up 7-2, so they'll be looking to try to take half now.
Timeout, Malaysia.
And the Malaysians have taken a timeout. So we've just seen a replay of that fantastic hand block from the Malaysians. Great heads-up play on the mark. And here we see Haruma making sure she's got her feet off the ground before she contacts the disc. And that gives her the opportunity to milk that last meter or two. And she scores the goal. So at this point, I'd say the difference between the two teams is simply the composure that the Japanese have with the disc in hand. The Malaysians playing very well, and strategically, structurally, I think they look pretty good. It's a case of a young, relatively inexperienced team coming up against a very well-drilled outfit. And at this stage, maybe the biggest improvement I could see coming from the Malaysian side on offense is simply decisions when they've got the disc in hand. Look to throw the easiest option that they've got available to them. One of the sayings that goes around Ultimate sometimes is win with your feet. So that means don't try to do anything too special with the disc and simply win by outworking your opponent with your legs.
Definitely, and Malaysia having such a big squad, they have that opportunity. You know, they can cycle through so many different players. They can always have fresh legs on the line.
Absolutely, and when you're the very first representative team at a World Championship event, obviously you want to give everybody lots and lots of game time. They're going to go back to their respective clubs, share this experience, and it's not just the players here on the field that are going to grow as a result of this experience. The lessons they learn and the experience they have will go back and affect their club teams, university and school teams back in their hometowns.
Definitely, and the Malaysians come from a wide variety of different teams, mainly coming from teams in Kuala Lumpur, Penang, Selangor. Just having a quick look at our info. So they're spread around the country, playing for a variety of different teams, so they can spread that knowledge throughout the country. That pool looks like it's going to go out, and it does.
It looked good for 99% of the travel, Katie, and just at the last minute, snuck out of bounds. So the Malaysians moving it up to the brick mark.
Malaysia getting another crack on offense. Moving the side stack to the high side of the field.
Japanese willing to drop a poach defender into the lane there. So what that means is he is ignoring his player for the most part and covering the space in the middle of the field. It's an attempt to nullify the side stack set up by the Malaysians.
And a great crossfield throw there and great take. Moving through their female handlers. Oh, it's been a bit of a trip there. And resetting the play with Hai. Considers his options. Maybe taking your advice, Cole, but he does send it this time.
Oh, that's unlucky. That was actually a really well executed throw.
Oh, that throw was excellent. I think he probably just overthought the catch on that a little. Maybe just trying to check where his feet was to see if he could jump in.
Yeah, I think he was trying to milk it all the way for a goal, and sometimes better just to secure the disc.
Oh, an unfortunate catch from the Japanese.
So can the Malaysians? No.
That was a very crowded little space there. Quite risky.
Again, I think that youthful exuberance sometimes draws you in towards the disc.
Yeah.
And it's actually more prudent to leave some space for your thrower to sit the disc out for you. So here we go, Takahashi moving the disc forward.
Oh.
And we've got a long shot, very nicely placed. And he's just managed to tow it inbounds. That's Hirano. Japanese willing to concede some ground to use the width of the field. Yamane. And they've scored. Fantastic patience. That's Sato. Sakura Sato.
Great demonstration by the Japanese that, you know, when you've got the disc right on the doorstep of the end zone, how to spread it wide, spread it deep, and get lots of different options.
Absolutely. I think, in fact, it was a masterclass in what the Malaysians could have done at the other end of the field, where they tried to force their way through and very narrow gap, very short distance, and instead the Japanese using the full width of the field, changing up the angles, making the defenders keep working, and eventually forcing one of the defenders out of position. And Sato able to cut free into the end zone and offer her thrower an easy option.
Now the Japanese have taken half. We'll get a quick highlights reel to show you, and we'll take a quick break and be back with you in a couple of minutes.
I think I love it, I think I love it. Smoking and drinking in the summer. Come on, who doesn't? Never regretted where I wasn't. Cause fuck it, I only do it if I love it. And you know I love ya. Since a baby been in trouble. Started my mother, said I'm too much like my father. Should've been a daughter. Cause I like to roll up green while I lay by the water. Dreams is high skyscrapers and my floors are flawless. See, I've been kicking in these doors, doing what I swore, ain't changing it all. Made a promise and I'm keeping mine, and you keeping yours. Still the same, nothing changed. Still ain't loving the Lord. Ain't know the name, face frame. Since the day I was born, all I know is don't know if I'll come back down, but I know it'll come back round. It's all love and they know that now, know that now, know that. Hey, don't know if I'll come back down, but I know it'll come back round. It's all love and they know that now, know that now, know that. Hey, I know it'll come back round, but I don't wanna come back down. I know it'll come back round, come back round, come back. Hey, I know it'll come back round, but I don't wanna come back down. It's all love and they know that now, know that now, know that now. Love it, I think I love it. Phone on silent, got me buzzing, ain't worried about nothing. Your father ain't my father's brother, but we say we cousins. Connected like calling that rubber to a bungee jumper. See, I've been all or nothing, and now it's coming, balancing who I am. And when I wasn't, I needed love, and lucky I had the family. Yeah, we argue, I say I hate you, but I know where you stand. You're in my corner, I'm leaning on you with my heart in my hand. It's all love, you're looking at me like no dog, looking at me like don't worry. It gets hard, I ain't going nowhere, I won't budge. I'm looking at you like so what? These days, all I can say is be brave. All we can do is be us. Don't fuss, don't nuts. One world, one love. Don't know if I'll come back down, but I know it'll come back round. It's all love and they know that now, know that now, know that. Hey, don't know if I'll come back down, but I know it'll come back round. It's all love and they know that now, know that now, know that. Hey, I know it'll come back round, but I don't wanna come back down. I know it'll come back round, come back round, come back. Hey, I know it'll come back round, but I don't wanna come back down. It's all love and they know that now, know that now, know that now.
I love it, you know I love it. I know you know I got it covered. My brother, this smooth as butter got me bugging. Cutting onions, catching feelings, bro, I love it. you gon' kill it. That's 100 on my mama, I not duck it. That's a million on the drama. We above it, in the kush clouds, they can't touch it. I never look down, we're here, homie. We caterpillar to butterfly in the summertime when the sun is high. Got me up at night and I'm loving life.
Don't know if I'll come back down, but I know it'll come back round. It's all love and they know that now, know that now, know that. Hey, don't know if I'll come back down, but I know it'll come back round. It's all love and they know that now, know that now, know that. Hey, I know it'll come back round, but I don't wanna come back down. I know it'll come back round, come back round, come back. Hey, I know it'll come back round, but I don't wanna come back down. It's all love and they know that now, know that now, know that now.
Welcome back to the second half of this matchup in the mixed division between Malaysia and Japan at the World Under-24 Ultimate Championships. Japan were able to assert their dominance in the first half using the class of their throws and their well-drilled offense. So the Malaysians playing with a great degree of youthful exuberance, and we hope that in this second half they're able to just clean up some of the minor execution errors that they were having and perhaps make a few better decisions with the disc. And let's see if they can rack up a few more points in this second half.
Definitely, the Malaysians have shown, you know, they've definitely got the skills. It's just a couple of minor errors that are allowing the Japanese to convert.
So they've come down in a zone here, and Sasaki moves it through to Izumi. Oh, lovely shot from Izumi downfield. Finds Yahata. And there's an open look. Oh, phenomenal D!
That was a great layout bid from Loy on the Malaysian team.
He read that out of the hands to perfection and was unafraid to throw his body on the line to affect that D. That was fantastic.
There's already been a pick call just as the disc comes back into play.
Just sorting out where everybody should be positioned when the disc comes back in, and we're back underway.
The Japanese poaching off on one of the female handlers, probably just to make some clog space in the lane. Oh, and they send a nice, huge, deep bid. Malaysian using their height, bit of a tumble. Lamb pulls that one, throws it over. Malaysia get a D score! Loy with the goal there. Look how ecstatic they are.
That was a phenomenal catch. He had about 3 goes to secure that disc. And
Loy with the double happiness in the end there. He will be absolutely stoked with himself.
Absolutely. So the Malaysians have managed to come out and put one in, and it's a break on the very first point for them. That's the first break of the game for them, and they'll be very, very happy with it.
They will be ecstatic. They've obviously used their half-time to re-energize, re-strategize, and it is showing.
Absolutely. So if you are here at the event and you're looking to keep yourself fit and well, recommend you get yourself over to HBF Stadium, where they've got some fantastic short-term deals where you can use the pool and the gym. So it's right here near the fields as well, so not too far to travel. So strongly recommend that. The Japanese now going to send out their O-line again after they have been broken by the Malaysian defence.
Game advisor whistles indicating that the point nearly needs to get cracking.
The wind still coming directly into our screens. It's a cross field, so no advantage really to one end zone or the other, but definitely making it difficult to move the disc in blustery conditions. And the Japanese again with
misthrow this time.
An execution error slipping through the hands. Wouldn't the Malaysians love to put 2 breaks on the board in a row, but that disc over the top. So Tsukura able to get it back. Seki now sends a blading crossfield flick, and that was a fantastic effort to toe it in, but the Malaysian defender is calling that one out of bounds. So quick discussion. That looks like it's called
No
in.
call.
My mistake, no call. Ohashi swings the disc. Again, the Japanese using the width of the field to change the angles. Seki back to Ohashi, back to Seki. And Maguchi's throw, just a bit too spicy. I think he was trying to control the flight in the wind and got a little bit too excited.
Sivakuma on the Malaysian team picking up the disc, walking it back in patiently, giving his team time to set up. They're moving into a horizontal stack.
And the Malaysian sideline getting loud now in support of their team. They look like they're going to send it, and they have.
Great fake.
Not to the advantage of his cutter, unfortunately, so the Japanese easily able to pick it off. Noguchi with the disc again.
Moving along the sideline. Fantastic throwing from the Japanese.
Vintage Japanese play there. Quick undercut, immediately looks deep. And that is a goal to Ue. And the Japanese able to hold offensively. Bringing the score to 9-3 to the Japanese. Ue in an acre of space there. She had Craig defending her. But she'd managed to beat Craig in a quick turn, faked under, then went deep. And the timing of the cut was perfection. She created great separation from her defender the moment her thrower looked over his shoulder to see what he had in front of him. And he took absolutely no time at all to release that disc. So the Japanese now in control of what we call the gender end. They're calling 4 men. There's been a recent rule change in that regard. It used to be that offense always got to choose whether they played 4 men or 4 women on the field. But in order to create greater opportunities, that rule was changed to having one end of the field deciding who would have control of the gender. So the Japanese pull to the Malaysians.
Malaysians moving it through their female handlers. They're stacked in a side stack with a couple isolated players downfield. Puts a flick, and that's coming not where he wanted that one there.
Yeah, just didn't get the rotation on the disc that he wanted, I think. And that, of course, means that the wind takes control pretty quickly.
Yeah, the wind pushed it down and sideways of where he wanted it to go. Japan get another chance to increase their lead.
So Matsuki with a nice break backhand. Enomoto sends it.
The wind picking that one up and curving it, not where he wanted it.
No. That was an uncharacteristic throw. Enomoto has shown quite a degree of control of the disc for the majority of this game, but that throw, I don't think landed anywhere near his intended target.
Dividus with the disc. Considers her options. Looks for the dump. Oh.
Fantastic D from Haruma.
But there's been a foul called.
I think there's a foul call there. And doesn't look like any contest from Haruma. So the stall count coming in on 0.
Swings it round. Two Malaysian players were options there. The taller one really didn't. Great movement here from the Malaysian players. Dumps it off to he. On that risky sideline now, probably wanting to centre it rather than jam it along.
Yeah, I agree, Katie.
Oh, this looks like there may have been a call.
No call.
No call.
Disc is in.
Just a bit of miscommunication. Moving it nicely down the sideline here. Oh, we get a big flick huck, curving back around, so airy. Malaysia used their height.
Oh, great D at the last moment. I thought the Malaysian player actually, oh, looks like we've got an injury. That's unfortunate.
Kwa had his height there, but there was many players in that pack there trying to grab that disc. He couldn't quite grab it. There's going to be a bit of discussion though.
So no call by the looks of it. Kwa waving that off.
He probably realised he did not have control of the disc. Japan in that vertical stack. Quite close to the disc.
Matsuki looking downfield. Cut coming from the back of the stack. That's Enomoto. Nomura puts a deep shot up and it's beautifully placed. Risa with the catch, but she was just outside the end zone. But she's done everything she needed. Moved it through to Haruma. And the Japanese score again.
10-3 to Japan. They continue to increase their lead here and show that they are dominant over the Malaysian team.
One thing I'd say about this game is that both sides have been shown great willingness to use their women, and that's no surprise on the Japanese side of the ledger. They have consistently used their women very well at the mixed division for many years, and I'm really excited to see it happening for the Malaysians as well. Sometimes when developing countries are improving their ultimate, it can start as a male-dominated affair, but it's not looking that way for the Malaysians. They're often using their women in the handler position, getting a lot of touches on the disc, as we see Risa and Haruma connect for the Japanese score.
Definitely, and I think with the Malaysians, the majority of their height is on their male players, so they probably want them playing in the positions further downfield where they have that height advantage, particularly over short teams like the Japanese, or even just to get a bit more contest with some of the taller, teams like in North America, Europe, or Australia and New Zealand.
Absolutely, and one of the things that's great about Ultimate is that there is not a single body type that works the best, and the Japanese have proved for many years that despite being smaller in stature, they can use the tools that they are born with to create game plans that are well and truly capable of success, as the women showed at the last Under-24s World Championship. The Japanese winning team were the winners.
Malaysia in a horizontal here, moving it nicely down on that high side. Craig looking for the up the line. They try center it. Oh, there's been a miscommunication there. That disc just getting pushed straight down. Didn't even look like it was to any particular player.
Yeah, those short downwind throws can be really dangerous. The wind getting on top of them.
Japan getting another chance to convert.
Mase finds Yamane right on the goal line. Yamane jams it through a very tight space to Sato.
And it's a goal.
It's a quiet one.
Very quiet.
That was a goal.
Wasn't even sure if it was going to be a goal at first. Everyone was just so quiet.
So the Japanese now extending to an 11-3 lead, and they have truly put their stamp on this game. Hopefully the Malaysians can find some enthusiasm, and they've shown they're capable. They took a break from the Japanese to start this second half, and it would be nice to see them continue to succeed. As we see Yamane with a very short, quick little flip through to Sato in the end zone, unafraid of putting the disc past that mark. The Japanese experts at different release points and pivoting quickly, moving their bodies. They play sometimes like the mark is not even in front of them.
Shows they have no fear. And a lot of trust in their teammates as well.
A lot of faith in their teammates. They have a great understanding of field spacing, a great understanding of cutting patterns and where their teammates are going to move to next. They're sometimes willing to throw the disc even when their receiver's not looking, because they have trust in their receiver to look around and catch at the right moment. So the Japanese to pull.
There's a lovely pull, but it gets pushed to the far sideline.
Yeah, that's actually pretty odd. He's managed to put that one, I think he was trying to account for the wind too much.
Yeah.
And he's actually managed to rip it out the upwind sideline, which is a surprise.
Bringing it up to the brick mark.
Yiming Yao. As I said earlier in the broadcast, I actually know Ming pretty well. We played together for Melbourne club team Chile last year. And he's not just a great handler, he's a super bloke.
Also playing with Monash University whilst in Melbourne. Craig looking to get it off the sideline. She puts quite a floaty one up.
Great grab from Ming.
Another floaty one.
Another great grab.
Malaysia using their height over the Japanese. Sends it to Craig. She dumps off to Ming. Malaysia looking very smooth in their offense here.
Absolutely.
So many great connections.
This has been very confident movement.
Yap on the high side. Puts it up.
Well read by the Japanese defender. The dump defense was fantastic there, and she did not have a lot of options in front of her. Did the right thing, I think, which is to throw a slow, catchable pass forward when you don't have a good dump. But the Japanese with the better read, and they're now back in control of the disc through Maset.
Oh, a flick hack there. Craig looking over her shoulder, realizing she didn't quite have it.
And the Japanese have called a timeout. A few players starting to look a bit exhausted out there on the field now, Katie.
Yes. Has been a relatively windy, tiring game with relatively long points. We're over an hour in. Japanese probably looking to re-energize.
So, if you're hanging around in Western Australia for a while after this event, there's plenty to see and do, and we thank Tourism WA for their support of this event. They are our primary sponsor, and Western Australia is truly an amazing place to visit. You've rarely seen a place so big, and you can spend literally months here if you want. I've had the pleasure of driving right through Western Australia from the south all the way up through the north. National parks like Karijini, and it's a breathtaking place. If you've never been to the Kimberley in northwest WA, I recommend you take an extended holiday, spend a couple of months up there, and of course, our friends at STA Travel will be very happy to help you arrange the specifics. And this is a great time of year for it too. As you can see, the weather here has been beautiful day after day after day. So teams breaking up now after the timeout, and Japan just a couple of meters from the end zone.
Japan will set up in their offensive structure. Once they've locked that in, Malaysia can set up their defense. Japan going with a angled vertical stack. Clear lots of space in that end zone.
And doing what Japanese often do, they put absolutely everybody in front of the disc because they're not afraid of a bit of congestion and a bit of confusion, because it often works for them. That was the set play. It's now been holstered, and they're looking for a dump. Oh, that was a very cheeky flip, and I feel like it got the result it deserved in a way. The Malaysian able to effect a D there.
Tan getting it all up in that. Didn't get a hand on it, but it's got his body in the way. Oh, a little bit of miscommunication there on the Malaysian throw. Pushing it out to the sideline. Japan getting another chance to put one in the bank.
Interesting, one thing I've noticed throughout this tournament is teams taking a timeout right outside the end zone.
So
Generally
risky.
are looking to set up a set play, and yet, from what I've noticed, I think they're successful less than half of the time. I sometimes wonder if a timeout just adds to the pressure
That's
for
something
the
that,
offensive team.
something that Simon Talbot, one of my coaches from Heads of State Club in Melbourne, has often said is, oh, great D from Malaysia.
Fantastic. That was an awesome
Oh,
read.
another return D. Fantastic. What Simon often says is that there is absolutely no point in taking a timeout in front of the end zone because, 9 times out of 10, you will not convert it.
It gives the D a chance to set up, take stock, get control of the situation. And the Japanese have towed that one in. So that's another score to Muraoka.
Japan extending their lead to 12-3. And I guess that's probably a demonstration of the Malaysians and their youthful excitement, getting a fantastic D and probably rushing that throw off a little.
Yeah, I think
and
so.
Japan getting a return run through D.
The transition from defense to offense is a really challenging one in Frisbee. It requires a complete mental reset to go from a really high intensity, chaotic style of play and then immediately switch to a calm and composed, structured style of play. It's a challenge, and people often talk about the game of Ultimate being a mental game as much as it is a physical one, and we saw that there with the Malaysian D. So the Japanese will be looking to take this game all the way to 15 points. The structure of this tournament is that it's a game to 15 with an 80-minute soft time cap. So what that means is after 80 minutes, you'll complete that point and add 1 to the highest score and play to that number. What that means is you can never win a game of Ultimate without scoring the winning goal. And no matter what, if you keep scoring, you're always a chance to win the game, no matter how far behind you are. You can never run out of time at World Championship level.
That was a lovely pull, right down the centre of the field. Craig to pick up. Moves it up to Kwa, Spirit captain, the Malaysian team. Dumps off to Craig. Oh, just a little high for her to grab. Japan get another chance at a quick conversion.
And it's a score. Ohashi through to her captain, Nakano. And the Japanese punish that slight mistake on the dump. And they push their lead out now to 12 goals to 3.
13-3.
Oh, 13-3, my apologies. They're charging towards the finish line now. And the Malaysians look like they're struggling to find anything in the latter stages of this match.
It can really push your mental game when you're so far behind your opponent.
Absolutely, and when it comes to the point where really you know you're not going to win the game, I think what you need to do is reset mentally and ask what can you get out of the game. For the Malaysians, this is an opportunity to play against one of the best teams in the world and to learn from the structures, both defensive and offensive, that the Japanese throw at them. This is going to be an incredible learning experience for Malaysian Ultimate. And so, whilst they're not going to win this matchup, that doesn't mean that there's nothing to gain by playing out the game as hard as they can and trying a few different things and kind of keeping one eye on what the Japanese are doing, seeing what the Japanese have got that they don't, that they could learn from and develop so that next time they meet, perhaps they can push them a little harder.
That pull looks like it's coming in. Getting adjusted to the wind, the players are.
That is a beautiful ball.
Malaysia in that side stack again. Dubs off to Sivakuma. Japan putting a lot of pressure on them, not allowing them many options. Sivakuma sends it! Oh, that is a great
throw. Fantastic throw. Sat it up into the wind to perfection.
And Wong just grabbed that one with ease, even with one hand.
And the Malaysians with a chance to celebrate before this game is out, which is wonderful to see. They push their score up to 4. The Malaysians willing to work really hard on offense there. Their cutters willing to cut deep come back under, and then when the time is right, uncork a massive huck, and it was beautifully placed.
Fantastic grab there from Wong.
Behind us we have the Philippines and Singapore women's teams warming up, and they're going to be going head to head. And they would be pretty familiar with each other, being rather close neighbours in the world of Ultimate. And many of those players would have matched up against each other at the recent Asia Oceanics Club Championships, where Singaporean Ultimate absolutely left me gobsmacked. They are very new to the Ultimate scene. And in fact, their women's club Havoc is less than a year old, or was, when AOU GCC was contested. And they made their way to the final, where they pushed Japanese club team Huck every step of the way. And really, Singaporean Ultimate has a lot to look forward to. That country is developing at a truly unbelievable rate of knots.
Yeah, Singapore and Philippines women will be our next stream game, coming to you at 11 a.m. Australian Western Standard Time. But back to this game. Japan working the disc through. Some beautiful offense. Oh, and a little high there.
And the Malaysians have got control of the disc. So good to see that at the end of this game, they haven't dropped their heads. They're continuing to work hard.
Tia picks up, fakes the forehand, fakes the backhand, dumps it.
Yao with one of his trademark slow, polite flicks. Oh, phenomenal bid. Ohashi, unhappy with the mistake made earlier. He has gotten horizontal, and now a quick blade in from Miguchi to Ohashi. And that is a score for the Japanese, and they bring themselves now to match point. The next score from the Japanese will be the game.
This has been a really exciting game of Asian Ultimate. So it'd be great to see the Philippines and Singapore up next as we spread our love around the Asian countries who have come here to Perth to compete in the beautiful Perth sun.
Quick shout out to Hui Fang, who is managing the Singaporean team, and really she is an absolute gift to Singaporean Ultimate. She puts in an enormous amount of effort to support the growth of Ultimate in general and women's Ultimate in particular. And along with Mish Phillips and Moe Samashima, she was absolutely instrumental in setting up a women's under-24s tournament in the lead up to this event, where the Singaporeans, the Japanese and the Australian under-24 women's teams had an opportunity to come together and compete against each other to give them preparation for this event. And Hui Fang spent a lot of her own time, and I understand quite a lot of her own money to make that happen. So we thank her for her efforts and support her in everything she does in the growth of Ultimate in Singapore.
Japan with the pull. Quite a lower disc this time. I think learning from the prior high floaty pulls that we had that went out of bounds. Malaysia quite deep down the field, having to work it up. Oh,
great run through D. Mino read that out of the thrower's hands, and he has put it in for the final goal of the match. Mino with the assist, and I think that was Yamane with the score.
The Malaysian players on the field looking a little bit shocked that it's over so soon.
Indeed, that was a very quick strike from Mino. It was a wonderful run through D, and he was able to secure the disc and then look to the end zone quickly and end the game. As you see here on the replay, the Singaporeans backed up in their own end zone. And we'll see Mino read that throw. That's a fantastic poach D. And then quick strike into Yamane for the score. That is a fantastic way to finish the game for Japan. And the Malaysians, I think, can take a lot out of this matchup. They showed that they're capable defensively of getting the disc off the Japanese. They forced a number of turnovers. And I think the wind playing in the hands of Japanese here. They've got phenomenal disc skills, and the Malaysians, just with a few more miscued throws, not quite as capable of keeping control of the disc. So thank you for tuning in. As Katie said, our next matchup will be the Singaporean and Filipino women's teams. And we look forward to seeing you then.
Thanks for listening.
For now, this is Cole Fink and Katie Locke signing off.
Back in